What words or tropes that I hear make me want to pick up a book? And what words or tropes, etc., do I hear about a book that make me, I'm not so sure about that. Let's chat. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today I'm going to tell you about my bookish buzzwords and my anti-bookish buzzwords. So what words do I, when I hear them, that are describing a book or telling me about a book, that I'm like, oh, I really want to pick up that book? And what books do I hear, or what words do I hear about certain books and be like, I'm hesitant about reading that book. I probably won't like it. I'm not sure. So let's just get into the positive first. What makes me pick up a book? What? If I hear about a book, what's my first thing that's kind of like, ooh, I really want to read that book? Okay, wow. First off, Christian fiction. It's Christian fiction, I'm automatically, okay, let's give it a try. But then within the Christian fiction, kind of, I think my biggest is law enforcement. If we are following somebody who is involved in law enforcement, whether it be a police officer, an FBI agent, a DEA agent, anything, anybody who's working in law enforcement, I am most likely interested in it. I don't know why, really. I mean, I guess I have suspicions. My parents told me once that, well, maybe you should look at going into law enforcement and like be a police officer. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, yeah, no, I don't have that courage. I'm scared easily. But I was like, I am really interested in law. And I took law in high school. I took some law classes in college for like my business degree and stuff. And I really enjoyed those classes and learning about it. So that kind of ties in with the next thing, is that I really enjoy books that feature lawyers. Again, it's law-based. I don't know, and that is one career that I seriously considered at one point. But the thought of like all the research, all the writing of briefs and things like that, I'm like, and then standing up in court and public speaking, no way. No way. maybe a paralegal in the background that doesn't. But yeah. So I don't know. I guess I like black and white, right? And hence the accounting math is very black and white. There is not a gray, like the numbers either add up or they don't add up. So yes, so that I'm very interested in law. And so whether they be involved in the law enforcement itself or on the lawyer side of it, kind of, which is still, I mean, I cheer for the good guys, not the people that are defending the criminals. And I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, we need the other kind of lawyers because there's a lot of people that are charged that are actually innocent, and if they don't have a good lawyer fighting for them, they might, right, be what's the word I'm looking for? Be found guilty for something they didn't actually do, right? Wrongfully accused. So yeah, I totally get that. But I really enjoy kind of following and seeing the good guys win in the end. The right side of the law winning in the end. So those are kind of my two biggest, which I think is kind of why suspense is one of my favorite genres, because usually majority of the main characters are involved in one of those careers somewhere, right? Okay, the next one is I really enjoy following siblings and kind of seeing the sibling dynamic relationships, supporting one another. And I don't know what it is about that, because I mean, I really like the bigger families. I don't want a bigger family. I have one brother and I'm good with that. And we're not really extremely close or anything. But I mean, we don't live in the same city at all, right? We live a distance from each other, so we don't interact a lot. And I really enjoy watching the families that do interact a lot together, and they don't have to be birth families. Like we're talking, I think of the O'Malleys, for example, where they're foster kids that created their own family. And any sibling dynamic like that or family relationships, I really enjoy reading about, following. And that kind of leads me into my next one that really should have been in the top of my list is I love series. This should not be a surprise. I absolutely love series, especially when series are following the same characters from book 1 to book 4. Like, for example, right? You've got the same group, and each book the main character might be a different friend or a different sibling or something of that primary group, but everybody's interacting through all the books. We don't just meet a couple characters and then when we're done that book, we're done with those characters. I really enjoy following and continuing on, especially if I've loved the characters. I want to spend more time with them. I don't want more bad things to happen to them, but I want to spend more time with them. So yeah, series. Okay, then we move into kind of, again, with the sibling relationships, friend groups. And especially when it's a random age group of coming together. So, for example, I think of the Fifth Avenue Stories Society by Rachel Hauck. It has a group of 5 people that get invited to this story society, and they are from all different age ranges. We've got like a young, kind of a early 20s, then we have somebody like mid 30s, mid 40s, and then we have like a retiree, I think, or close to it. I think so. And it's been a few years since I read that book. But they're all coming together and they find friendship within and be able to support each other and mentor each other. And just, I really like the dynamic of that. And there's a few books I read. That's the first one I think of immediately. Another one I think of, because I just recently read it, was The Inn at Walker Beach. It is featuring women characters, but women from all different ages, different life situations. Some are married with kids, some do not have kids, some single, and somebody is retired, right? And they're just working together. I really enjoy seeing the different relationships like that. Okay, then the next one, and which kind of builds on to the continuation of characters. I love stories that include ranch settings, horses in particular, and especially like in the Old West, like out west, back in the early 1900s when everybody, had to go from farm to farm on a horse carriage or a buggy or whatever. And then kind of building off of that, for the particular series I'm thinking of, is, again, it's the community members, and we see kind of different members of the community are involved in each book, because there's 10 books in the series. So the series is the Hardman Holidays, or there's also the Pendelton Petticoats, I think is what it's called, or Baker City Brides. All 3 series are written by Shanna Hatfield, and they're all historical, set in the early 1900s, and we're following different members of the same community, but the characters show up in each book, right? Like throughout, it's like, oh, I remember that character, and I really enjoy that. And there's something, I love horses, and so just having I think just having the ranch setting and really draws me into a book. Like, it's like, and so, for example, I'm reading the Hanger's Horseman series by Karen Witemeyer this month, and I cannot wait to get to it. I am so excited to read that book because it is historical, featuring horses and set like cowboys, kind of, yeah, that is totally. You tell me a book has that and it's clean. Please, can I read now? Now, please? So, yes. So, and then the last one I'm going to mention is a story that is told in letters. Well, okay, this builds up. There's two. I guess it's not the last one. They kind of go together, though. So, a story that is told in letters. I love that storytelling style. I don't know. I think because I really can get, I'm almost like reading it from the reader's perspective, or like the reader's, like as if I'm that person that letter was written to. I really enjoy following those. The automatic one that I think of is Then There Was You by Becky Wade. I loved that book. And I'm not a big novella fan. And that comes into my auntie. But that is a novella that introduces you to the Bradford Sisters series, which is a great series, by the way. But anyways, so it introduces you to that series. And it is told strictly through letters and diary entries. And I love it. I love it. And I think it's because, I don't know, it comes to like, especially, not, I mean, we talk a lot more on the phone now. But at one point in time, me and my best friend emailed very, very regularly back and forth all the time. So it was like a big, like, kind of like a pen pal, but on email. I mean, right? And they would be books about, like, kind of what's happened in the last day or 2 days, depending how often we wrote, right? And so I love that. And I feel very connected to the characters when I do that. And I think that's because of that history of that. Now we talk on the phone very regularly or text. But every once in a while, we still do the letter thing with the physical snail mail. And it's fun. I mean, who doesn't love getting a letter in the mail, right? Even if a lot of our things like, by the time you actually get this, I probably already told you this. But it's still like, fun, right? So, yeah. Okay. So, kind of with the letters, books that include diary entries. Or they have found an old diary and they're trying to figure out what kind of about this person that wrote this diary, or they're trying to solve a mystery or something, right? Or it's just more insight into a grandparent, for example. I love those. I think I just love it when it's written from, like, somebody's actually written to you, right? And the one I can think of is The Secrets of Paper and Ink by Lindsay Harrel. That is, they find a diary and they're searching through it, and I love that. Another one is The Blackout Book Club by Amy Lynn Green. That one, at the end of every few chapters, there were like diary entries into their book club meeting notes. And it was really entertaining to read. And yeah, so those are just a few of my, if I hear about that, that's in a book. Oh, how could I forget, like, one of my primary ones? I can't end on that. Okay. One of my primary tropes is if you tell me it's a marriage convenience, I want to know more. I love marriage convenience stories and following them and kind of seeing how a relationship grows between people. One of my favorite books is The Christmas Bargain by Shanna Hatfield. And that is a marriage convenience story. And I have read that book, I don't know, 4, 5 times, 6 times, I don't know. I couldn't tell you the number of times offhand. I'd have to look at my list. But I've read that book so many times, and I just love those characters and love seeing the relationship with them. Now, it's going to take another favorite book that has the exact same trope, and we're going to move into things I do not like in books, or that kind of makes me hesitant about a book. So another one of my favorite books is The Isaac Project by Sarah Monzon. So this is a marriage convenience story, and I have been told, and I need to reread it because apparently I've blocked it completely out, is because I just recommended this to my best friend to read, and I actually bought her the book and said, here, you're going to read this one. And she's like, I can't believe this is one of your favorite books because it has one of your least favorite items in this book. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Apparently, there is football in the book. I don't know because, as I said, apparently I blocked it out in my head. And she didn't tell me because she's like, well, you guess you're going to have to reread it and figure out for yourself. And so apparently football is very active in that book. And football, no thank you. I tend to find books that have football in them. But if on the back cover it tells me it's going to be a football based or have a very active role, like somebody is a football coach or somebody plays football or it's going to have an active role in the book, I'm going to be like, no thank you. Or if it's way too football focused in the book, as I'm reading it, it's going to like, oh, nope. Like that kind of drops stars for me. So I really need to reread The Isaac Project to figure out why. Where is the football in this? Because as I was saying to her when she was telling me this, I'm like, but he's a firefighter and he moves right? And I'm like, I do not remember football being in that book. So I need to reread that one. But if it's prominent on the cover or on the back cover that there's going to be football included in it, no thank you. No thank you. So then moving into other things I do not like or that kind of put me off from picking up a book is the first one I thought of was cheesy character names. If I read the back description and it has some character names, the one I'm thinking of for sure is Jack Frost and Mary Noel. Like really? I read the book, but the whole time throughout the book, every time the full character's name got mentioned, I was like, okay. There's also another book. I may pick it up. I haven't completely said no to it, but I've been hesitant to, that just recently came out, where the character, like on the back description, the 4 characters are spring, summer, autumn, snow. Really? As I was reading the description about it, because I was like, am I interested in this new release? And as I read that, I'm like, that would just annoy me the whole time through. Like, autumn I can deal with. Summer I can deal with. But spring and snow are the characters' names? Really? Now, I've heard that people really enjoy this book. And it's also by one of my favorite authors. So I'm not ruling it out completely. But I just know myself, as I read through it, I'd be like, every time I read the name, I'd be like, can I change this name? Can I change this? And I know the character names, from what I've heard about the book, are really part of the story. Like, it's kind of, they're named the way they are because of the story, from what I understand. I haven't read it, so I don't know. But yeah, names bother me. I just finished reading another book, and it is a foreign name, and I think it's a Syrian name, and it's not a name we know in America or a common name in America. And every time I read it, Thoma, Thomma. I'm not sure how to say it because, as I said, it's a foreign name. I mean, the character's from Syria. But every single time I read it, it was Thomas. Like, it's just like I make a name in my head and that's the character name. Like, it just, yeah. For those, maybe I should listen to audiobooks that have names like that. But I don't know if it would bug me the same way. It probably would bug me the same way. Probably. So, yeah. Okay, so that is the first thing. Well, besides the football. So that's the second thing, I guess. The third thing is a Russian setting. No. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't have a good reason for that. It's just, if you tell me it's set in Russia, I'd be like, I'm probably not interested. Like, I've read a couple of them, and I either have a really hard time following the story, or I just don't get into it. And no desire. And the very last one is, if you tell me it has language in the book, nope. Done. I do not care if it's only one word. No. So we were at a book fair, or a book sale, a couple months ago, I would say. Yeah, there was snow on the ground. So a few months ago with some friends. And I was looking at different books, and there was a book I was interested in, and I thought, hey, let's take a look. Am I really interested? As I'm flipping through it, I opened to one page, and I'm just kind of skimming the page, like, how's this to read kind of thing. And it come to a language. And I'm like, nope, don't need to read it. And then later we were talking, and my friend said, how come you didn't pick up that book? And I told her why, and she's like, oh, okay. I mean, the conversation was a little bit longer than that, but yeah. I am not going to read that and put it in my head. I do not want those words in my head. So, yeah. So, those are just a few of the things that I do not like in books. Now, let's go back to the positive. What makes me want to read a book? Because as I was doing the set in Russia, it made me think of something else. Settings. Depending on the setting, really kind of draws me into a book, or be like, I don't know. I want to read that is if the book is set in England or the book is set in PEI. I'm immediately like, yep, yes please. Yes please. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I do. I shouldn't say I don't know why, because I do. So my parents are from England, and I've been to England a number of times, and I enjoy the countryside and just the way they speak, and it's so beautiful. And I like to read about England. I don't know, like, yeah, it's similar to us in like Canada and America, but yet it's different, but it's still English. And then PEI is beautiful. And I like the slow island pace. That's my type. Don't give me a big city. Yeah. And PEI is beautiful. And I have been to PEI, so when I read about it, I can almost picture the setting, right? But I mean, I enjoy books set in the States. Like, especially like small towns, things like that. But really, immediately, if you tell me it's set in England or PEI, I'm being like, I want to know more. Those are some of the things that when I hear about a book that make me want to pick up the book, and some of the things that when I hear about the book make me, I think I'll pass on that book for now. What are some of your buzzwords and anti-buzzwords? I would love to chat in the comments below. Do we share any in common? Or is there a bunch that I forgot? Or let's chat. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel and keep on a lookout for more bookish videos coming. Thank you. Bye.